I thought this was fascinating, and the direct ties are kind of still murky just a little bit. But a big piece in the Washington Times opinion piece says roughly $20 billion of your tax dollars were parked at outside financial institutions by the Biden administration EPA. This is Lee Zeldin talking. The scheme was the first of its kind in EPA history and was purposely designed to obligate all of the money in a rush to reduce oversight. In other words, right, federal tax dollars were going to the EPA, and the EPA was doling out $20 billion, he says, to just random NGOs. And then these people show up with pallets of bricks, and you go, hey, who paid for those pallets of bricks? And then you find out that somebody who was bought the bricks is funded by somebody else, who's funded by somebody else who, interestingly, has a contract with the federal government. Again, there's not really direct ties as of yet, but I think it's a matter of time before we start to see, holy cow, the U.S. taxpayer, unfortunately, seems to be footing the bill for a lot of this.
It seems that way. Again, going back to when the George Floyd riots happened, and there was all these protests, and they were happening in Dallas and where I live, and people were very surprised. And then people were posting all these pictures of pallets of bricks, doing all this stuff. And we're like, somebody is coordinating this. Somebody is funding this. So clearly it's good to ask questions. And I think with the new administration in the FBI, I think Dan Bongino and Cash, I think they will, they're gonna pull back the curtain and see what's going on. And if there's some really funny business, some illegal stuff going on, they're going to put a stop to it. And it needs to. Again, I get the reason for protests. I'm not saying they're bad, but when it's at this level, it is just not warranted. It doesn't make sense. You're destroying property. You're doing everything that is what protests do, like the peaceful protest, what protesting are supposed to stand for. It's just the NGO stuff you'd mentioned about, the funding that is happening. And I think even Elon, figured out that, hey, there's a lot of this money that's being floating around the government that's being maliciously spent, and with Doge and all that. And I think that definitely opens some people's eyes that stuff really does exist. And for the longest time, Americans want to think the best of the country. They want to think that this would never happen here. People are going to be, honest people. But at the end of the day, humans will human. And humans will do things that are going to ultimately benefit them, whether it's line their pockets, whether it's, help push their cause down the road. That's what they're trying to do. And they're doing it with a lot of funds that should be segmented other places, whether it's, helping infrastructure of our country, helping people like veterans, helping people that truly need this money, not just, to try to push a cause, to try to make a bunch of illegal people legal, which they came here illegally. So, I mean, if this is the whole cause, it just, you shake your head, and sometimes at the end of the day, I'm just like, listen, the news is going to just try to keep infuriating you with these same stories, and it just gets under your skin. And at the end of the day, like you have to kind of focus on taking care of your house, doing the things that are going to help move the needle in your life versus like focusing on these people that really seem like they don't have a life.
Totally. You hit on something that could probably be a 3-hour podcast, an idea of recognizing human nature. That's part of being a conservative. You recognize reality and the human nature that people exist in and craft policy around that, not try to force men can be women and all of these different things that don't make any sense in the natural law of humanity. And that's kind of the whole point. But again, that's probably a bigger discussion for a bigger later time. Also, people that were seeing Elon Musk on the screen on the B-roll, just so you know, this Doge is what was responsible for uncovering all of this wasted EPA funding. So that's why that was there.